I coordinate the entire program that the A Corps does. Every aspect of that, including focusing everyone's specific talents and abilities, giving the concept a thorough narrative throughout the show, costuming, color, and, you know, oversee the entire process and all that that encompasses, even down to gloves and feathers. We tend to design by feeling, much more than mathematical formula, I guess is the best way of putting it, which, you know, can sometimes be a problem when you're off schedule, but for the most part, you're dealing with your emotions and you're dealing with something that touches you. So that's why it makes it enjoyable for us. It also allows us to not dictate to the performers, to not get overly detailed with them through the process. It allows them to contribute and collaborate with us in the process, because we get to watch what they're feeling. We get to watch how they're interpreting what we might say, do this, charge this way, be subtle when you move that arm like this, and then you go, ah, that's the one. You find the person, or you find a group of people, oh, you're doing it this way, that's good. It's a collaboration. Just like a choreographer works with dancers. There are certain instances that have to be dictated, of course, and as the season progresses, it becomes very detailed. Dots get put on paper, and so by the end, through that process, but it certainly gets very fine-tuned, but the creative process is a very natural and emotional thing. It's a very traumatic thing. We certainly at the Blue Devils have been discovering a way of creating, a way of educating, a way of learning that has developed through the years, but certainly there's always been performers long before I was here. I knew it when I wasn't a part of the Blue Devils that were professionals, you know, and that's always been my personal goal, was that they could leave this organization and walk into the professional world, whether it was musically or television or film or dance. They could move into that world and know how to behave professionally, know how to handle the job, be ready for anything. And that's very, very important to me. And so we try to treat them as professionals and respect them as professionals, which means not in having some sort of contrived bravado about how many hours we can spend on a day beating their bodies up. They're professionals and we treat them like that. So they have learned to act that way. And they do come on board now and jump into the process quite seamlessly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The piece was constructed for ballet, you know, it's done that way for the Ballet Russe, and Diaghilev sort of orchestrated that whole thing. He was sort of the puppeteer, the master, the producer of the Ballet Russe, and had Nijinsky, who was at that time had, you know, done pretty standard choreography for ballet, had challenged a couple of things, and prior to The Rite of Spring had choreographed a piece that was quite challenging for the audience. So, I mean, it wasn't an unknown factor that Nijinsky was going to say, I must do this different. Diaghilev knew exactly what he was doing. And when Stravinsky played the music for him and played the score on the piano, Diaghilev was quite excited about the newness of it and the layering of it, and made him do it again. You know, play it again. I want to hear it again. You know, he knew something was happening. So he orchestrated the event that occurred and knew quite well that the audience, members of the audience would react in the way they had, because it was totally new. But Stravinsky also was into exploration, you know, and has a famous quote that I can only paraphrase about, I can't do what you want me to do because I would only be repeating myself. So he also had that side of him that said, I must move forward. I can't always move back. I can't write another Firebird for you. although you can hear him in it. You can hear things that are similar to Firebird, and he was thinking about the Rite of Spring when he did Firebird, and exploring Russian folk music. And then folk dances and folk costumes came into play with the production values, you know, built into the ballet. And Nijinsky said, I'm going to change exactly how you see ballet. From what you perceive as, you know, there's only curved port de bras arms could be beautiful. He said, no, angles, which of course people around the world knew already. You know, if you look at folk dancing in Asia, they knew it already. So he was quite open to how can I challenge what people think are the conventions and standards. One of the interesting things we're able to do through the show is reference the original in interesting ways throughout the program. That's why it's Rite of Spring. Re is in regarding the Rite of Spring.